Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining me this weekend. We have much more than usual to cover, so I'm going to dive right into it. We're going to start with a quick review of what we talked about happening last week, which turned out to be actually fairly accurate. So we're looking at the NASDAQ futures right here. So if we drop down to like a 30-minute time frame, in last week's video, we talked about how when price is kind of in no man's land between two magic levels, it will tend to gravitate to the next closest magic level. So last week, price was right around here about, this is Friday's close on the 6th, right about 12,700, 12,600. And you can see how it was right in between these magic levels here. And I talked about how typically on Mondays, at least in the recent future, Mondays have been bearish. And sure enough, that happened again with another bearish open on Monday. And we slid down to this first magic level, tried to recover, but failed, and then slid down to the next lowest magic level here at 11,700. Then with the moon and Libra, we made a nice little recovery on Friday. Now, this recovery is also leading into a lunar eclipse with lots of ugly aspects with big, powerful planets happening this weekend. And also there is a cheat code day happening on Sunday, which rolls over into Monday. So if we turn those on in the time trades indicator, we can take a look at the cheat code lines, and we can take a look at lunar signs. This is when the moon enters a new sign, which tends to be important. And we can hit OK on that and let it update. And I'll show you what I'm talking about on those cheat code days and show you why it's important because of what happened last time. And cheat codes are these purple lines. They're kind of notorious for this kind of pump and dump behavior. So last time we had a cheat code, it was May 4th. We had a big pump up. The cheat code arrived on May 5th, and the dump started just before that cheat code line appeared. So once again, a reminder that there is a bit of range of influence, a sphere or orb of influence around these purple cheat code lines. So they are not like exact to the minute sort of thing. So when these are coming up, it's important to be aware of them in the future. And we've got one of these hitting on Sunday. And the effect or the line will actually appear in the NASDAQ on Sunday night, or in the cash market, it'll appear on Monday because that's when the market's open. But this could very well be the pump that is followed by another dump. And this is something to be aware of here. The other thing to be aware of coming up is the last time the moon was in Capricorn, we had a real ugly move down. So I want to go back and show that. And sure enough, that was combined with another cheat code day here. So we've got moon in Capricorn, April 21st, coming into that cheat code day. Here's our little pump. And then it was followed by a very harsh slam down. And it tried to stabilize a little bit at this magic level, failed eventually, and came down to the next one. So this is also happening this week with the moon entering in Capricorn. And so I'm expecting either with the dump after the cheat code day, which you see has happened pretty reliably the last couple of days, or with the moon in Capricorn, or with this lunar eclipse happening on Sunday, which, to be honest, most of the time lunar eclipses and solar eclipses aren't the direct event of major moves in the market. But this one seems to have a lot more negative aspects than usual. So it could very well be a trigger for a big move in the market. So there's three big events happening this week. between the eclipse and the cheat code day and moon coming into Capricorn that we need to be aware of. All of those have influence on the downside. And that leads me to talking about this new discovery and feature that I added to the Time Trades TradingView script called likely pivot days. So let me go back to the menu here of the Time Trades TradingView script, because I did change it around and I want to just kind of review those changes with you. And I also want to talk a little bit about the likely pivot days and what that means. Okay. So eclipse season displays a purple box right around. It's the same as the old cheat code timing zones. Okay. But in this case, it displays a purple box and the green box has been removed because it was little used. So we're calling it what it is for clarity. So that is eclipse season. So that's the purple box there. Okay. Likely pivot days. So this is the new discovery that I made on Thursday and confirmed its importance in the machine learning on Friday. So it's incorporated into the probabilities of time trades. And now, as of yesterday, it's visible within the TradingView script. So this is a super powerful indicator and very timely, and I'll explain why shortly. We've got the cheat code vertical lines. They come in two flavors. There's a purple line and then a mid-period teal line. We've also got Gann waves, which is a lunar cycle. And then we've got three lower time frame indicators. We've got when the moon moves into a new sign. That's only visible at 30-minute time frames. We've got moon void, of course, and we've got lunar aspects as well. And then, of course, we have magic levels. All right, so let me just cancel this out here. And we are going to zoom out and take a look at likely pivot days. So I'm going to hit OK, and we're going to zoom out to a daily view and on the NASDAQ futures, and we're going to double click here. Okay, so while this redraws, we can take a look at the NASDAQ futures here. So, okay, so this really blew my mind when I saw it for the first time on Thursday, which was these dates. Okay, so these dates are astrophysical dates. They are not manipulated by machine learning at all. They're natural cycles that I can project into the future, and you can see the future dates here. And you can see how the last one was April 6th. That was basically within a day of the last top. And then before that was January 21st. And this date is actually seared in my mind because this was one of my most successful trading days ever, because I was able to close out a big short on that morning and then flip long for the pump up. So that turned out to be an incredibly successful trading day for me. So I remember January 24th very well. And then more interesting, we go back and right near the all-time high here, November 8th, that's another likely pivot day. Back down here, right before this pump leading into the final top, we've got October 11th. Over here, this is probably one of the weaker ones. This is why it's called, the L stands for likely, because they don't turn into major pivots all the time. Sometimes they just do this, which is not too much, but that's okay. 4 out of 5 ain't bad in terms of quality hits. Like when you look at the hits on this thing, it's just incredible. Like April 20th, wow. And February 9th, little early, but still within about a week or so of the actual pivot. Here, October 21st, a little late, still pretty close to the actual pivot. One of the things I found with these, now let's go and take a look at LPDs on Bitcoin, where it's, to be honest, it performs even better. You'll notice the dates are maybe sometimes off by one day, and that's just because Bitcoin trades 24/7 and the NASDAQ or the Qs do not. So there may be some slight difference in dates here, but anyways, we take a look at the likely pivot day here for Bitcoin, April 5th, and we go back over here. We take a look at the likely pivot day. We've got January 21st. And what I found with these things is when they occur near white magic levels, they are really important. So it's like this combination of time and price. When you get this time change with a likely pivot day right near a major price level, like a white magic level, then they are very significant. Like back here, November 6th, that's within like 3 days of the all-time high, right? Insane. This one here is a counter example to that. So here's a likely pivot day that's kind of nowhere near the white magic level, so it just kind of trucks on through like it didn't happen. And here's another example of what I'm talking about. Here's a LPD right near a white magic level that turned into a little correction before price boosted up again. Here's an LPD up near a white magic level. This one was important, right? So really, really strong, useful swing trading signals come from this thing. And honestly, I haven't made a trade based on this yet. But if we take a look in the future, right? And I think everyone's sort of looking forward to, hey, when is this downtrend over? When can we switch gears? Because this has been going on for a long time. It's like 5 or 6 red weeks now, and that is incredibly rare. And yet price just keeps going down. So the question on everyone's mind is, when is this going to bottom even temporarily? I think everyone understands we're in a major long-term bear market here, but nothing ever goes straight down. So the next likely pivot day here is May 23rd, and that's a Monday again, of course. So we need to take a look at our plan for the week and anticipate this. So this could turn into being one of those Mondays like, you know, my favorite day, January 24th over here, where we get the, you know, sort of a capitulation low. This is also a Monday after options expiration. So options expiration, you know, of course, all the options, all those puts, that's all insurance. And when those expire on the Friday beforehand, there tends to be a lot more moves on the following Monday. I think this is one of the reasons why Mondays have been so negative lately. So that's something to be aware of. I would be very, very I guess, observant of trend coming out of May 23rd. And here's another reason why. If we flip over to time trades, and let's just go and take a look at the Qs. All right, so one of the changes and improvements that I made on time trades this week, I'm just gonna clear this up a little bit so it's easier to see, is if you turn on short-term waves, you'll notice the yellow line here is a lot smoother, and this is Mercury speed. And you'll notice that, you know, this dump kind of started just as Mercury speed paused up here and started slowing down, okay? And we're now in the retrograde cycle of Mercury, and Mercury is going to be speeding up starting on the 23rd. So it's still going to be retrograde for a few days, but the point is it's no longer accelerating backwards, if that makes sense. It's accelerating forwards. So it'll take a few days of accelerating forwards before it actually starts moving forwards. So it's still going backwards, just slower than before. But eventually when retrograde stops, that's when it's moving net forwards. But I really think that Mercury speed, and if you turn on, you know, the short-term wave indicator and go back in time and take a look at, you know, what happened during declining Mercury speed, you'll see it very frequently aligns with market declines. So we're coming to the end of this Mercury speed cycle, and we can see it accelerating through mid-July here. So that's another reason to be very careful and very aware of this March 23rd date on Monday. Again, so maybe we should transition over and do a quick segue over and take a look at the major indexes. So you can see the indexes, at least in the Qs, have a steadily declining 2 standard deviation move down in the forecast. And this is somewhat unusual. We don't usually see this kind of cluster of 2 standard deviation moves down in the Qs. And this is mitigated a little bit with these pivot highs around here. However, there's a big gap in these pivot highs right around Friday the 20th and Monday the 23rd. So to be honest, I don't really know what to make of these pivot highs. These could be legit pivot highs where maybe price does come up a little bit, or maybe it's the kind of like the high before the flush. I don't know. But what I am confident in is, Moon moves into Capricorn on the 18th. And then we've got that likely pivot day on the 23rd. And we've got the cheat code day, which is typically a pump and dump happening this Sunday, which will follow over into Monday. So if we take a look at spiders, spiders looks actually very similar. Turn off short-term waves here. Looks very similar to the Qs without the confusing pivots, okay? And spiders has its big move down on Friday the 20th. And we can see here that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, again, look worse than the other days. Okay, let's look at diamonds. Diamonds not quite as bearish, but still a pretty big cluster of 1 standard deviation moves down here. IWM. IWM has this increasing cluster of 2 standard deviation moves down, again, peaking on Friday with a 67% probability of a 2 standard deviation move down. So if we take a look at the components of the Qs, let's look at big tech here for a bit. We've got Apple with like 3 2 standard deviation move down days, and Apple is kind of significant because it's sort of moved out of this price range that it's been in since November. Okay, so this is pretty significant move for Apple to be probing down into this new lower price range here. Okay, let's look at Microsoft. Again, Microsoft, lots of red. We've got 35% probability of a 2 standard deviation move down on Tuesday. And then on Monday, the 23rd, a 62% probability. So that's pretty big. Let's take a look at Google. Google, not so bearish in terms of probability of moves down, but it's got this big pivot low down here, May 23rd, 24th. And Amazon. Amazon kind of fits the pattern, right? As we see increasing moves down here in Amazon, with this peaking on Tuesday, May 24th with a 51% probability. So one of the things I noticed as we go to models, and I'm going to wrap this video up shortly, but if we go to models, okay, and we filter by US, okay, and I've got the time frame set for 10 trading days. So what this is doing is it's calculating the mean of the probabilities over the next 10 trading days. I'm starting to notice a lot more financials here that are popping up in the first page of weak stocks. So specifically, smaller banks, Citizens Financial Group, that's just ugly. Like, we've got nothing but 1 standard deviation moves down, very high probability, all of them over 50% through like May 26. And we see another bank, State Street, So here's another one, very similar pattern, very high probability one standard deviation moves down for almost 2 whole weeks. And Bank of America is another one. Okay, so that's something that caught my eye as I was browsing the models page. And what I like about the models page is now that we can change the time frame here, we can set the time frame to time span, or the time frame can now incorporate some of these important dates, like these likely pivot days that we see, and make sure that the time frame we're looking at includes those days. Okay, so let's wrap up with a quick view of India stocks. So if we take a look at India here, and looking at 10 trading days, because we want to include those likely pivot days. So in the first few days, I'm expecting a bit of bearish moves, and we look at Tata Consultancy here, TCS. It's got a nice cluster of one standard deviation moves down. So that looks like a high probability short on Tata. And if we go and take a look at some others here, let's take a look at GAIL and see what we've got. GAIL has some confident one standard deviation moves down and some gaps in there. So not quite as confident as Tata, not quite as consistent, but still there's some very clear bearish trend here on GAIL. And if we take a look at 2 standard deviation moves down, they're not quite as high. So the highest one here is DABUR, yeah, it's not quite as high as some of the others, but yet you can see there's some, 15%, 12%, but then that combines nicely with this pivot low over here on May 23rd, 24th. So again, it looks to be in a downtrend here. So this might be an opportunity as well. Okay, so with that, I'd like to thank you for listening to me and joining me this weekend. I hope you can take advantage of some of the new capabilities I've added to time trades over the last week, and good luck in trading this week. Thank you. Bye now.